Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah. 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 Arunagirisha, Jyoti Swaropa. Arunagirisha, Jyoti Swaropa. Sachitananda, Sai Swaropa. Sachitananda, Sai Swaropa. Shivoham, 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 Shivoham. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah.
Reverential prostrations to Lord Shiva, the one who is present in Arunachala in the form of Brahmanda Lingam, the one who is represented by Jyoti Mahadipam in his abode. Lord Shiva is verily the Sachitananda who incarnated in the Kali Yuga in the form of Sai, with a mission to elevate us to a state where we meditate on the mantra SHIVAHAM, SHIVOHAM, I am Shiva, or I am Sachitananda Shiva, where this I am Shiva or I am Self being the essence and truth of our true existence. Om Namah Shivaya. Swami Krishnananda ji explains, Panchakshara is a Maha Mantra which is composed of 5 letters. Namah Shivaya. A mantra is that which removes all obstacles and miseries of one who reflects on it and bestows eternal bliss and immortality. Yajurveda is the head of Parameshwara, who is the Veda Purusha. Rudram, which is in the middle, is his face. Panchakshara is his eye. Shiva, which is in the center of the Namah Shivaya, is the apple of the eye. He who does japa of this Panchakshara is freed from birth and death and attains eternal bliss. This is the emphatic declaration of the Vedas. If you add Om to Namah Shivaya in the beginning, then it becomes Shadakshara or 6-lettered mantra. Namah means prostration. Shivaya Namaha means prostration unto Lord Shiva. The Jiva is a servant of Lord Shiva from the Deha Drishti. Namah represents Jivatman. Shiva represents Paramatman. Aya denotes Aikyam or identity of Jivatman with Paramatman. Hence, Shivaya Namaha by itself is a Mahavakya like Tattvamasi, which signifies the identity between the individual and the Supreme Soul. Om or Pranava denotes the external form, husk of the Lord, and Panchakshara the internal Swarupa. If Om is the husk of the Lord, the paddy, Panchakshara is the rice. Pranava and Panchakshara are one. The 5 letters denote the 5 actions or Panchakriyas of the Lord: Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana, Anugraha. Tirodhana is veiling, Anugraha is blessing. Arunagirisha. David Godman, a devotee of Lord Ramana, brings in the greatness of Arunachala from various hymns on Arunachala. And this is a beautiful compilation of Sri Ramana's various expressions on Arunachala. He writes, this is all which he describes are the expressions of Bhagavan Ramana. By seeing Chidambaram, by being born in Tiruvarur, by dying in Kashi, and by merely thinking of Arunachala, one will surely attain liberation. The supreme knowledge, the import of Vedanta, which cannot be attained without great difficulty, can easily be attained by anyone who sees the form of this hill from wherever it is visible, or who even thinks of it by mind from afar. This is the 5th of the 7 verses that Sri Bhagavan selected from the Arunachala Mahatmyam and translated into Tamil. In the 2nd line of the 1st verse of the Sri Arunachala Ashtakam, Ramana Bhagavan tells us that from his very earliest childhood, when he knew no other thing, Arunachala was shining in his mind as the most great. And this thought of Arunachala so worked in his mind that at that age of 16, a great fear of death arose in him and turned his mind selfwards to drown forever in its source. In his Tamil collected works, under the picture of Arunachala, there is a verse that can be considered as his Dhyana Shloka upon his Sadguru Arunachala Shiva. In this verse he sings, "This is Arunachala Shiva, the ocean of grace that bestows liberation when thought of." Akshara Manimalai, composed of Sri Ramana, starts thus. After the Dhyana Shloka, it starts like this. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachalam yena agameninai power agatai verarupai Arunachala. Alagu sundaram pol agamum niyum mutru Abhinamai irupom Arunachala. O Arunachala, you root out the ego of those who think of you in the heart as Arunachala. Like the words Alagu in Tamil and Sundaram in Sanskrit mean the same beauty, though they appear to be different when pronounced. Alagu is pronounced different, Sundaram is pronounced different, and they are apparently different in 2 languages, but meaning the same thing. let thou, like Alagu and Sundaram, let thou and I remain inseparable and identical, though in physical existence I may be appearing to be different than you. He sat. Is it all about this Alagu Sundaram? He sat. And thus comes the revelation. Why this non-dual experience of the identity of the Alagu and Sundaram, or the identity of the Jivatman and the Paramatman, or the identity of the Jiva, Atman and the Brahman, it doesn't come at once. It is why it is not realized at once, if this be the truth as given by Bhagavan Ramana in this verse of Alagu Sundaram. On one hand is Swami or Brahman, and my identity as Atman or Self as revealed and as taught by my Acharya for many years, about which at the Mananam stage I am convinced totally. Okay, if we keep this as Sundaram, here comes my mind with all my vasanas and that subtler avidya, which makes me feel that me, when I look up to the mirror, me with my BMI, and that the creation at large appears to be to me as Alagu. I am lost in this glittering world because with all its glitter, it looks beautiful, which is symbolized by Alagu. Here is my identity as Atman or universal consciousness Brahman, and here is my perception of myself and the world, the creation as Alagu. Here comes the disparity. So I am not able to get to my real beauty, my real Swarupa, transcending my limited BMI identity. My real Alagu, my real beauty is me, the Self, Atman. Only when I transcend my vasanas and avidya, the Alagu is no more perceived by me as the Alagu of my BMI and the Alagu of this creation, but the Alagu is exactly my true identity as Self, Atman, which is exactly the same as the universal consciousness Brahman. Alagu Sundaram pol. Will Ramana compose any line as it is? Just a mere description of Shiva Alagu Sundaram pol? No. It has each expressions which came from this source. Ramana had the greatest and subtlest inner meaning, which Bhagavan gave to Acharya through Bhagavan's grace. So, the first line what it told, Agattai Verarupa Arunachala, remove my ego Arunachala, so that my mind is equal to you, the consciousness. The creation seen with my mind is equal to consciousness, and you are verily that supreme universal consciousness Brahman. Here and hereafter, like the same meaning that Alagu and Sundaram carry, my mind, this creation seen by, I cannot avoid seeing the creation. I cannot avoid hearing things in the creation. But all that is seen, all that is heard, all that is smelt, all that is touched, everything is no more the Alagu which I used to perceive with my mind filled with my vasanas, but it is the real Alagu. There is nothing apart from me. There is no creation apart from me. And I am Alagu. That means the creation is not there different from me. The creation is Alagu. Everyone in this creation is Alagu. Alagu Sundaram Pol. How beautiful. Arunachala. Now back to David Godman's part. In the 102nd verse of Akshara Manimalai, he sings, O Arunachala, the moment I thought of Arunai, I was caught in the trap of your grace. Can the net of your grace ever fail? And in the last line of the second verse of Sri Arunachala Navamanimalai, he sings, Mukti Ninekka Varul Arunachalam, meaning Arunachala, the mere thought of which bestows liberation. But only in the 10th verse of the Sri Arunachala Patikam does Sri Bhagavan reveal how the thought of Arunachala works in the mind to root out the ego, with which he started the first verse of the Akshara Manimalai. In this verse he sings, the Tamil was so difficult even for Acharya, so he left out the Tamil part. He sings, I have seen a wonder, a magnetic hill that forcibly attracts the soul, arresting the activities of the soul who thinks of it even once, drawing it to face itself, the one making it thus motionless like itself. It feeds upon that sweet, ripened, pure soul. What a wonder is this! O souls, be saved by thinking of this great Arunagiri, which shines in the mind as the destroyer of the soul, the ego. Jyoti Swaroopah, let us align it with Arunagirisha and then get to the subtler Jyoti Swaroopah, which he may be giving only a line, because by now it should have been drilled into your very source when he says Jyoti Swaroopah or Jnana Swaroopah. The 10-day Kartigai Deepam festival observed at the famous Sri Arunachaleshwar temple in Tiruvannamalai, Tamil Nadu, culminates with the Mahadeepam lit atop the Arunamalai hills, Tiruvannamalai Deepam. Bharani Deepam in Kartigai month at Tiruvannamalai temple. Symbolism of Tiruvannamalai, Sri Arunachaleshwar temple Kartigai Deepam is thus, which was also shown to few sadhakas on the Shivaratri day as compiled by Radio Sai, the significance of Shivaratri. He smiled when he went through the same. Here, the Mahadeepam represents Lord Shiva, who appeared in the form of a pillar of fire with no end and beginning, Jyotirlinga, before Brahma and Vishnu. The story goes like this. Lord Vishnu and Brahma wanted to know who was the greatest. After an intense debate, they sought the help of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said that he who can find the origin or end of his form is the greatest, of Shiva's form. Lord Shiva appeared before Lord Vishnu and Brahma in the form of a pillar of fire, Jyoti Swarupa, with no beginning and no end. This form is referred to as the Jyotirlinga in Arunachala. Lord Brahma assumed the form of a swan and Lord Vishnu in the form of a boar and conducted an elaborate search to find out. One of them started from the bottom, one of them started from the top. They tried their level best to find this source, the beginning and the end of this Jyoti Swarupa. They failed. Soon they realized and they crossed their ego of telling or fighting who is the greatest, and they realized that the Supreme Being has no end or no beginning. Adi Ananta Illada. The Tiruvannamalai Mahadipam atop the hills commemorates the appearance of Lord Shiva in the form of that fire, the Jyotirlinga. And then it goes to describe how it is. And at the subtlest level, should he tell you again that the Jyoti Swarupa at the sadhaka's stage, post-realization, even if this has no significance, as Upanishads has no significance, he roared, I am neither Atman nor Brahman in 2012. So, at the Mananam stage as the sadhaka, since with this jnana, with this pure awareness, only and only I am able to perceive the creation and be aware of myself. My panchakoshas are lit up and the creation is lit up for me only and only by this jnana, by this pure awareness. So, the sadhaka is convinced that the real Swarupa, the real Lakshana of the pure awareness that he himself is, has to be Jyoti. Because what is the function of the Jyoti in a dark cave? It lights up. And it lights up everything for the one who can see everything. Here the pure awareness is the Jyoti Swarupa because it lights up, it illumines within and it illumines the creation for him. So, Jyoti Swarupa, nothing but Jagat Ujiyara. Alright? Sachitananda Sai Swarupa. In a commentary on one of the Vibhu Gita verses, it goes like this. On the eternal and infinite screen of Sachitananda Self Shiva, by his own power, Shakti is projected as the moving shadow picture of the universe in manifestation, and into that again it is absorbed in dissolution. All luminaries like sun, moon, fire, stars and lightning derive their luminosity as a gracious gift. Remember, in the one-to-one series of pour for few sadhakas, what he told, this very expression, this expression comes from the source, not from the books. What he told, do you remember? He told, he poured, he revealed that The pure awareness lends itself to the senses as a grace. Exactly here what it is said. Derived a luminosity as a gracious gift from the Shakti inherent in the screen of the self, Shiva. Though bright in themselves, they can only obscure and cannot reveal the Shiva screen which they cover up. Out of the fear of that Shiva, their creator, Devas and Asuras, gods and demons are ever alertly engaged in their ordained duties. One of the Upanishads explains this particular fear. Out of the fear, how the various deities function, it is given very elaborately. I think Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That Shiva must be meditated upon and realized to be that self by making the restless mind stay still and alert after it has been adequately restrained and completely prevented from the pursuit of sense objects, namely the shadow pictures on the screen of the self. All shadow pictures removed, what remains is pure awareness, the spotlessly effulgent screen. That Sachitananda Shiva, incarnated in the Kali Yuga as Saguna Swaroopā Satya Sai. Shiva is Sachitananda, self that we all are is Sachitananda, Sai is Sachitananda. Then why he incarnated at all when all are the same Sachitananda? Why Lord has to incarnate when we are all divine? Then this crooked intellectual mind asked this question. When the Upanishads taught us that we are all divine, then why we have to undertake any austerity? Why we have to undertake the study of Upanishads? Why do we need a guru at all? When we are all verily divine, we can sing and soar high that we are all Brahman, we are all the self. There is no need for any sadhana at all. No. Though we are divine, no doubt about it, Sai sees us, all of us as divine. We have, due to the Avarna Shakti, due to the veiling Maya, we have understood ourselves as this ordinary Jiva with our body, mind, intellect. So, a song of his guru, you all remember, you would have forgotten. Bar bar is jag mein aaye, Satya Swaroopā Sai, tum Ram bane, tum Krishna bane. So Sai has incarnated only to remove the veiling of our true nature by us due to our ignorance. Like the gold, when the dust is removed, the gold shines in its pristine splendor. Like the Krishna appears in his splendor when the sculptor chisels and removes all that is non-Krishna in the wooden truck. Echoing the above truth, a Ribhu Gita verse says that the Shiva reveals himself spontaneously as the sole eternal Satchit Ananda self, very essence of the nature of the worshipper. The very essence of the nature, very essence of the nature of the Bhakta is Sachitananda. Shiva is Sachitananda ever. When Shiva is happy about the intense devotion, nididhyasana, or pure love, pure devotion transformed into love of his bhakta, then the time comes when the Shiva no more chooses to grace his bhakta in his form as Nilakanta Mahadeva Gauri Vandana, but since now he has known that the bhakta has realized that his true identity, he is about to realize his true identity in the 17 and a half step in Shabarimala, at that time Shiva, not from without but from within the bhakta, at that penultimate level, hour, minute, second, Shiva graces the bhakta and gives him the divine grand darshan, not as Shiva with form, but as Sachitananda, because the true nature of the worshipper itself is the same Sachitananda. What does it mean? In the subtlest level, the sadhaka has experienced the self within. Shivoham, Sachitananda, Sai Swarupa, Shivoham. An unknown monk writes, "Who am I? What am I? What is the outline of my beingness? Spread in all the directions, what is this manifested world? From the so-called birth till the so-called death, what is all this happening? How is it happening? How do I know that I am? Indeed, is there really anything like me? What is the reality of this me, which remains occupied in the worldly and otherworldly riddle till death, and ultimately rests in the 6 feet by 3 feet space as a mere body upon the end, upon death? Apart from these questions, who actually meditates, and on what? How and why do thoughts, feelings, desires, lust, wishes, etc. arise, and one makes one a slave of them? Why the tendencies like fear, greed, anger, attachment, etc. do not stop? In the search of answers to such questions, the meditation brings one to the peak of the conclusion, where remains only one's beingness, pure existence, where all the otherness disappear and the duality comes to an end and remains only as one subjectivity, Shiva Aham. Where my ecstasy has brought me, where there is nothing other than me. Shall we go through the actual journey of a sadhaka bestowed with the sampatti of sadhana chatushtaya and handed over the samit to his acharya and has done the abhivadai, and the Acharya has accepted him as a worthy disciple in his ashram, in his kutir, and the teachings have begun. The Acharya is now, after putting him initially for various service in the kitchen, in the garden, in everywhere, to serve the Acharya, to serve Acharya with food, with everything, and to keep on in those yesteryears, keep on giving that air, the wind to Acharya as he sleeps throughout the night. After he has done all the service and the Acharya has found that this disciple is now totally selfless and he is ready to be given the grand truth, the time has come. Actually, the real purpose of the Guru Shishya Parampara begins now, and Acharya teaches the disciple what? We'll beautifully glide through the real journey in the Guru Shishya Parampara, and you see where you are at the conclusion of this journey. The Acharya is teaching. This is Upadesha Vakya, or the two Mahavakya, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma or Prajnanam Brahma. What Acharya teaches in the context of the Sachitananda, because it is imperishable, it is the self indeed, existing as the nature of the knowledge that is truth, Sat. Because it illumines all, we went through the illumination process. Because it illumines all, it is the self indeed, existing as the nature of knowledge that is consciousness, Chit. Because it is beloved by all, it is the self indeed, existing as the nature of knowledge that is bliss, Ananda. And he adds one more, echoed in the Taittiriya Upanishad. He also adds, because it has no limitations, it is a self indeed, existing as the nature of knowledge that is infinite, Anantam. Sachit Anantam Anandam. Upadesha Vakya. Now Sachitananda explained is no more a theoretical understand, but it has become an integral, nay, single pointed focus in the disciples' nididhyasana, which has become intense. The time for Guru, pleased with the Shishya's nididhyasana, these two sequences can be interchanged. The third can come at the second, the second can come at the third. Intuitively, whatever sequence appeared without any thought process, this was given. But the second and third are interchangeable. In fact, you would realize the third. Now, as he takes up the role of the Guru in the Guru Dharma, while giving you, the second should come first and the third should come last. You can interchange in your nididhyasana on this discourse. The time for Guru, for removing the gap between the disciple and his understanding or meditating, that is, the gap, the difference between the Guru and the Shishya must come to an end. Let us take it as the third in our nididhyasana, in your nididhyasana. So, there the sage Ribhu reveals to his disciple Nidaga, here that Guru is revealing to that Shishya, pleased with the Shishya's Nididhyasana level, and he's reaching almost that level. The Guru whispers, and finally the Shishya will whisper. The Guru whispers, again in the context of the Sachitananda, oh Saumya, oh child, you yourself are the supreme God, which is only of the nature of truth, Sat, which exists ever steadfast and unwavering. As Satyam, Sat is motionless, changeless, birthless, deathless, so unwavering. You yourself are the supreme God, which is simply of the nature of consciousness, which has no objects of perception such as mind. It was taught to you consciousness beyond names, beyond forms, pure awareness. You yourself are the supreme God, which is only of the nature of bliss, Ananda Swarupa, which has no sorrows of birth and death. Ananda, real Ananda, is possible only when you have no more pain regarding the cycle of birth and death. That is the real Ananda. Amritasya Putra. You yourself are the supreme God, which is complete, without any bondage and liberation. The disciple takes this revelation and meditates. One day, like the disciple confirms his state to his Acharya after being reprimanded by Acharya in Kenopanishad, when the Acharya says, if you think you have known it, I think you have not known it, go and meditate. Then what the disciple says, oh Master, I cannot say that I have known it, but I cannot also say that I have not known it. Yes, Master, I have known it now. And the Acharya now knows that he has really known it. That means he has not known it as the lesson taught by Acharya. He has known it as subjective, intuitive awareness, consciousness. And here how the Shishya, the final whisper, after that the Guru and the Shishya must part, and then the Shishya, the Sadhaka turned Mukta, must undertake serving the humanity in the way the self within intuitively asks him to do. He can serve by total silence as Ramana. He can serve by total talk like Chinmaya. The final whisper moment in the Guru Shishya Parampara. And everything, the whole journey has been captured in the context of Sachitananda. In fact, he can give hundreds of verses in the same sequence from this unimaginable treatise, Vibhu-gita. And he's glad he's touching this after a long time for you sadhakas. I am ever the substance of absolute truth, Sat. I am ever absolute consciousness, Chit. I am ever a mass of bliss, Ananda. I am ever the undivided essence. I manifest as all ever, and I do not have anything, even so much as an atom. I am all pervasive and all undifferentiated. I ever remain the supreme Brahman. There is no doer without the one undivided essence. There is no enjoyer without the one undivided essence. There is no knower without the one undivided essence. There is no Jiva without the one undivided essence. There is no Ishvara without the one undivided essence. There is no manifest universe Jagat, no Jiva Jagat Ishvara, no manifest universe without the one undivided essence. There is not an atom without the one undivided essence. The one undivided essence indeed is all. And then towards the end of the Ribhu Gita, he says, "O Master, without thy grace, this would not have happened." The Master confirms that, yes, I had to shower the grace because I could not help. I could not remain without showering my grace on you because, my child, your time had come. You deserved the grace and you won the grace. The grace was always there in your thousands of birth. It was only that you were not deserving till this moment. You deserved, you got it. The grace which was showering from the Ishvara, from me, your Acharya, which was showering all, which was flowing all through, it was getting blocked only and only by the veil of your ignorance. It was only blocking. It was the grace was always showering. The Maya, the veil of Avarna of your ignorance was blocking. Through the Shavana Manana Nidhyasana of my teachings, that veiling got removed. Like tsunami, the grace had to usher in. The grace had to reach you. How will the grace not reach you? It reached you, you got it, you bathed in it, and you are now exist as Sachitananda Swaroopa. Where the Sai Ishvara is Sachitananda, where the Guru is Sachitananda, where you, Saumya, is Sachitananda. Go back, sing the song of Shivoham and serve the mankind in the way the Shiva in you dictates you. Sachitananda Shivoham. Shivoham. Even the Sachitananda has got merged in the Shivoham, and even the Shivoham has got now merged in that undivided essence which the sadhaka turned the seer is existing as. And now what is there when the Sachitananda is merged, not gone, it has merged in that undivided essence. The Shivoham has merged in the undivided essence. the Jyoti Swarupa has merged in that undivided essence. The Arunagirisha has merged in that undivided essence. Arunachala has merged in that undivided essence. Om Namah Shivaya has merged in that undivided essence. All that remains is supreme silence, Maha Maunam. Like how that beautiful bhajan got merged into that undivided essence, it is the foremost responsibility of each singer singing each song that he, the singer, and that song, everything like the bhajan, each expression in the bhajan got merged in the undivided essence. The singer must also merge in that undivided essence, transcending his identity, transcending even the subjective experience, transcending even all that experiences initially which he gets while singing, and ultimately the subjective experience of self which he gets, even the awareness that he is getting that subjective experience, everything must merge in that one undivided essence. After that, you have to sing. You have to be in silence forever and eternity. Be silent. Both are same. Singing, not singing. Living, not living. Birth, death, everything is the same. For the benefit of other sadhakas, we will try. That song recording is there already. Once again, he will try to speak through video and then bring it, upload it as the video talk. Hari Om Tat Sat has also now merged into the undivided essence. Jai Sai Ram has also merged into the undivided essence. What do I say? Nothing emanates from me, said Ashtavakra. What do I say? Nothing emanates from me, says Acharya. And prostrates to all of you, since you have realized, he wants that you realize that you are Shivoham, but he knows that you are Tat Tvam Asi. He knows that you are all that self. He reverentially prostrates to all the sadhakas. He means when he says this. Even those who have understood the essence of the discourse, or some children who might not have understood, you are all that divine self. His reverential pranams and prostrations to all of you. The discourse would deserve to end only in silence.